All right, guys, hey, what's up? So, this is me again. I just made a video earlier about shooting stands, which I think matters, and of course, every shooter needs to think that because it does matter. So, going back and rewatching the video, I realized that some corrections need to be made because I may have said some things that aren't fully correct. So I'd like to correct that in a new video or in this new video. Well, what I wanted to point at is the stance. So in the previous video, I said the stance is the understanding of body mechanics, the functionality of your weapon system in relation to the target. Well, that's not what stance is. Stance is your body positioning in relation to the target. Okay, your body positioning in relation to the target, because your body positioning has a lot to do with how well you shoot. Because pretty much when you're shooting, every part of your body is actually engaged. You may not even realize it, but it is true. Okay, what do I mean by body mechanics? Well, body mechanics is basically, so for example, when you stand, your legs, your feet are pointed towards the target. Your legs tend to have a slight bent. Your knees, your hips, your waist, your torso, your chest, your shoulders, your arms, your head, your neck, everything is engaged. Okay, wherever your eyes go, that's where the weapon goes. So every part of your body plays a role, and every shooter needs to understand that. All right. So again, stance is body positioning in relation to the target. When we stand squared to the target. There's a reason behind that, because we understand that when we shoot rounds, or it's a two-way rifle range. We're shooting at the bad guys are shooting at us, and you want your plate, your SAPI plate from within the carrier to absorb all the bullets, not your sides, because on your sides, that's where you have all your rib cages, but behind that you have your organs, everything in there. You get one round in your side that is uncovered, you're done. You're going down, and it's gonna hurt, it's gonna suck, you're going down. So you don't want that. You want to be squared to your target and ensure that rounds are put in the target accurately and effectively. Okay, so now without saying more, I just wanted to point that out and make some corrections, and of course tell you guys that every shooter needs to take that into great consideration, because stance does matter, and of course it's a fundamental, it's a marksmanship fundamental. Okay, so now one thing that I'd like to point out again in the video, I also talked about high and low compress. Again, it is true that the high compress comes from certain elite units, as far as the Naval Special Warfare guys, Navy SEAL teams, and Marine Raiders, also known as MARSOC. They conduct a lot of maritime operations, so they tend to have their muzzle up, pointed in the upward position. The reason being is, again, true, it is safer because there's no head sweep, no leg sweep. Okay, especially when you're operating in tight quarters, you have your buddies moving about your extremities. You don't want to sweep anybody. Okay, and more importantly, a high compress allows them to be able to make entry within rooms without having any issues whatsoever. Okay, For instance, in a stack of a 4-man team, that point man, all right, that point man has the gun pointed to the door, right? That gun is not going anywhere, okay? The second man is going to give a squeeze. It's going to be a dynamic entry, okay? The second man is going to give him a squeeze. He's going to come in. He's going to go ahead and clear the fatal frontal, go across, and that second man in the stack behind him is going to have the muzzle up, okay? This is much more effective for him to be able to, as soon as the first man goes in, clear the fatal frontal, goes across, his weapon is unsafe, muzzle up, he's going to button the hook and take that corner, breaking the threshold as he pivot on his leg to his dominant position, sweeping his sector. He's going to go at 25%. So the first man, clear the fatal frontal, goes across to 75%. Second man, muzzle up, weapon unsafe, is going to break the corner, okay? Is going to break the threshold and move on to his dominant position at about 25%. So that second man here with the muzzle up, as soon as the weapon gets back to his line of sight, it's going to be flicked off safe for him to start operating. And then the third operator is going to go in the room, of course, check for overhead compartments, small rooms, start checking furnitures, and the fourth man goes in the room and actually barricade the opposite side that they haven't been to. So this is pretty much a down and dirty of a dynamic entry of a room using the high or low compress. High compress, in essence, is eye muzzle target. The operator would bring that gun's muzzle to his side. How it works is basically weapons unsafe. The stock is no longer indexed on your shoulder, so the operator will remove the weapon from his shoulder's position. The stock is gonna go underneath the shoulder, okay, as the muzzle is rising to the level of his eyes, okay, and that weapon is unsafe. Anytime a weapon breaks your line of sight, it's gonna be unsafe. And then with that, when the operator presents the gun back to acquire his target, that weapon is immediately flicked off safe for him to start shooting. That's high compress. And low compress, on the other hand, is the opposite of that, to where the stock is going to go over the shoulder as the muzzle is going to be brought down for the operator to present aggressively and acquire his target. So this is the difference between high and low compress, which special operations forces use. In the infantry, we do low port or low compress. I mean, of course, it depends on the unit. It depends on the standard operating procedures, because regular infantry, marine, or army, we train in a lot in kill houses to where instructors are up top, and the instructors don't want you to flag them, so they're gonna have to make you put your muzzle down. But of course, if we're somewhere else, it depends on the standard operating procedures. But some units, marine units, conventional marine units do also use high port. Yes, guys. So I just wanted to let you guys watch this video. I want you guys to watch this video and see the corrections that I made in regards to the comments that I made earlier, as it relates to stands. Again, I used to teach that and still am, but I need to reassess, reinstitute, and apply that new concept, because it's pretty old, to where standing squared with a target with the legs shoulder width apart in a staggered position. The legs are not supposed to be congruent. Congruent basically means you have both legs on the same plane. Because if you have both of your legs on the same plane, then you don't have a solid platform to be able to absorb the blowback. Anytime a gun shoots, it's going to recoil, and you cannot mitigate that altogether. You cannot completely mitigate the recoil of a gun. Okay, so you have to have the legs non-symmetrical in a staggered position with a slight bend on your legs as you're leaning slightly forward and, present and acquire a target. That's what I used to teach. Okay, but now I realize that there's a lot of downfall to that, because when you leaning forward causes you to shift all your weight forward, and certainly brings a lot of friction on your spinal cord by overextending it. You don't want that, because all of that brings a lot of back pain, and it's pretty disastrous for the body. So you can still stand up straight with shoulder width apart and have a nice platform, and acquire a target. The fundamentals of marksmanship do not change; they remain the same. Your sight picture, sight alignment, your hold, your trigger control, breathing control, trigger prep and reset and fall through, all of that remain the same. Nothing changes. You can still stand up straight with your shoulder width apart in a staggered position to have a solid platform and acquire a target. Okay? Because anytime a gun recoils, it brings blowback. And if you have a solid platform, all that recoil, all that pressure, all that blowback is going to be distributed from the shoulder down to your waist, your hips, and your legs. And you're not going anywhere, because you're firm, you stand firm, you're solid. The gun is still going to maintain its consistencies as far as recoil goes, but you will not go anywhere, because you have a solid platform to absorb all that recoil. So that's the correction that I wanted to make. Hopefully you guys watch this video and enjoy it, and peace.